I also started working with a lot of comics at some point. I did this very interesting project called This Side, That Side. It was an anthology of comic stories, and all these stories had to do with the partition of India. Uh, this particular story was written by an Indian author who is based in Sweden. His name was Tabish Khair. He wrote this story, which the story was told in the form of an old fable. So it was told like a children's story, but the content was actually it was very serious. So it was interesting to work on this because I had to sort of create. I think they chose me to work on it because I was a children's book illustrator. I had to sort of mix two kind of styles to sort of achieve this kind of a cutout feeling, which I thought was very interesting to do. Um, so it's actually it's the story of King Solomon and how he cuts this, how he orders a baby to be cut into two pieces, and it sort of parodies the partition of India and Pakistan in a similar way. Uh, Two other projects that I'd like to talk about. One is Eat the Sky, Drink the Ocean, and the other one is Drawing the Line. In 2012 in Delhi, there was this very there was a terrible incident of rape, which I'm sure all of you also heard of. There was a young student, a physiotherapist, who was going home at night. She'd just taken a bus. She was with her boyfriend. She was going home at night, and she was gang raped by a group of men. What followed after that was something that had never happened before in India. Like, there were groups and groups of men and women who took to the streets protesting that rape, and they wanted laws to be changed in India, and it completely, the mood of the country completely changed. And I was living in Delhi at that point, and I could see the kind of urgency with which women wanted to talk about their own stories and the violence that they had faced over many, many years before this. For the first time, women were talking about misogyny, patriarchy, these words which no one ever used before were actually being openly talked about. They were even talking about things like marital rape, where in India, subjects like this were considered a big taboo. And the voices of these women actually reached other countries as well, including Australia. I think in Melbourne, in the same year, there was a similar incident, and people realized that violence against women was not just an Indian issue. It was something that that sort of spanned all continents. So Kirsty Murray and an Indian editor in India called Anita Roy. Kirsty Murray is an Australian writer. I'm sure all of you know her. So it was their idea to sort of do a collaborative project called Eat the Sky, Drink the Ocean, where women writers and illustrators from India and Australia could collaborate and create stories about what they imagined the future to be. So this particular story, I think I spoke about it yesterday as well. My story was something, I had collaborated with this writer called Kate Constable, and she's an amazing woman. I did meet her yesterday. Yay. And it was great. She was just like she was on email. Really nice. So yeah, we collaborated on this project together, and some of the stories in this are, all the stories in this are quite amazing because they talk about so many different issues where women kind of question their there are stories where women kind of question their own choices with regard to, what they do for their appearance. And there's a story about a woman who gives her kidney out so that she can get new hair, her hair straightened. So all these stories kind of, cropped out of different conversations that women were having all over the world. Right after, this was published in India by a feminist publishing house called Zuban, and in Australia it was published by Allen and Unwin. Following this, a lot of, if I look back at my career, I think a lot of my work has been encouraged by mostly women, and they've always sort of told me to go out, and people like Kirsty and Anita, and they've always sort of encouraged me to push myself, go out, tell my stories. So I feel that it's also my responsibility to go ahead and help other young women to tell their own stories. So this was actually, this book called Drawing the Line was a collaboration between two German artists who had come down to India, and we held like a 15-day workshop where we called about 14 Indian young girls from all over the country, and we asked them to create comics during that 14-day period. And in a year, we had this amazing book where these women spoke about various issues, and we created these stories about, which had to do with again issues of skin color, arranged marriage. It's an amazing collection of books, and I'm very proud of those participants who came and so bravely told their own stories. And the amazing thing was some of them didn't even draw when they joined the workshop.